Welcome to the Voice of Reason, Carolina charm with California wit. Whether it's the law, politics, relationships, or recipes for the kitchen, the Voice of Reason is online and in all our hearts. Now, please welcome the Voice of Reason, Mr. Ted Durden.
Good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Voice of Reason. I'm your host, Ted Durden. And as we begin this evening, I first want to give recognition that tomorrow being Valentine's Day, then this makes it Lover's Eve. So let's jump right into politics right off top. Well, we all know that everyone is anxiously awaiting. You have a lot of federal employees that are wringing their hands, grabbing their heads, fearful that another shutdown is going to occur. Let me be one of many where you have probably already heard. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Donald Trump is going to let the government shut down. Now, you might have the conservative hardliners who hope that he does in an effort to get this wall built, to get the $5.7 billion that he has requested. Nancy Pelosi, who has proven to be a very formidable foe, challenger for Donald Trump, has indicated she's not giving one red cent to build a wall. Now, let's split hairs. In the budget that there has been a consensus on and that has been submitted to Donald Trump for approval, there is actually money included in that for border reinforcement. In other words, to repair existing fencing that has been damaged over time, and to also install steel slats. So the Democrats holding on to their commitment not to give any money for the wall, what they said is, to clarify, we're not giving any money to Donald Trump to build a large concrete barrier/wall. Now, Donald Trump has indicated that he is not happy with the budget that has been submitted to him. He will probably try to tweak it some to try to get a little bit more money out, or as he has intimated, he may simply take money that has been allocated for military funding and divert that to building the wall. But he has clearly said, I don't think the government is going to shut down. I don't think he nor the Republicans can afford to endure another shutdown. Not as we start heading full speed into the campaign season. I don't think he's going to let that happen. So I don't think the federal employees, the federal workers, the federal contractors, I don't think they have anything else to worry about. I just really don't believe that's going to happen. One of the things I want to talk about is Kamala Harris. She's going to be the subject of a large portion of the rest of this edition. And there was a video where she is captured dancing in the video. And although I know she isn't, you could say maybe she was trying to twerk a little bit. She was sitting in a chair. But my concern about the Democratic Party of late, and a lot has to do with a lot of the new legislatures that were elected, like I think her name is OAC, Ocasio-Cortez, who's become the shining new face of the quote-unquote new Democratic Party. Here's my problem. We're appealing to the lowest common denominator of our base, kind of like what Donald Trump did. The difference is we're holding them up as our standard bearer, and I have a problem with that. I'm old school conservative Democrat. I make no apologies for it. I make no secret about it. I think about during the Clinton years when he was running for office, and they asked him, do you smoke or have you ever smoked weed, marijuana? And he said, yes, I did, but I didn't inhale. Nowadays, Kamala Harris, when she was asked if she smoked weed. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Back when I was in college, yeah, I smoked weed and I would listen to Tupac and Snoop Dogg. Now, here's the funny thing about that. Now, if she was in college, that means that maybe we're talking about during the 80s. Snoop Dogg and Tupac were babies. They might have been 6 or 7 years old. So she got the timeline wrong. That's the first mistake that she made. But again, trying to appeal to that base, that cool base that she's trying to build or support. I don't want a pothead in office. Now, if you do that on your personal time, that's fine. That's fine. But why did she even entertain that question? And here's the reason why I say that. During an interview, she made it clear that she's a person of color. Now, when she was being interviewed on The View, she made the comment, I'm running for president because I think this country is ready for a woman of color. Now, for the last week or so, she's been on the Breakfast Club on radio touting that she's black. Well, when you're on The View, why didn't you just simply say, I think the country is ready for a black woman president? You could have just said that. It's almost like she was trying to distance herself from it. Now the focus has been, she's not black enough. Look, if you're the president for all people. That's one of the things that we have faulted Donald Trump for, not being a president for all the people. He is constantly doing things to target his base, to appeal to his base, to satisfy his base, instead of appealing and doing what is best for the country at large. He engages in a lot of misquotes, false statements, sometimes just out and out lies. So if your race isn't an issue, should not be an issue when it comes to your politics, why should the fact that you get high become a basis? Why would you even entertain that sort of question? Because if I, for the sake of argument, was running for public office and I had an interviewer ask me about some of my personal proclivities, I'm not going to dignify that with an answer. I'm going to talk around it. That doesn't have anything to do with my politics. That doesn't have anything to do with what I stand for. That doesn't have anything to do with what I want to do for this country or for this state or for the city, depending on the public office that I was running for. So why are we appealing to the lowest common denominator? Cardi B, she's a rapper, former stripper. Her story is interesting. She was working at a supermarket, got fired, and I guess her supermarket manager looked at her and said, you know what? You should be a stripper. And that's what she did. Hey, if that was the only thing that she felt that she was skilled at and how she could make money, okay, that's fine. But why did the Democratic caucus in Iowa invite her to speak at a Democratic reception? Because they wanted to hear what she had to say? Because of the fact that during the shutdown that she slammed Donald Trump for shutting down the government? She's not the only one. There were hundreds, if not thousands or 10,000s of people, if you want to count the federal employees that were furloughed, hundreds of thousands that came out against Donald Trump about the shutdown. But she is invited. First of all, she doesn't represent me or anything about me. She's not into politics. She made a statement, and all of a sudden they're interested in what she has to say. Why? Recently, she got into a tete-a-tete with a conservative about her City Girls video. in where she was twerking. And that's all they did. Twerk during the entire video, dropping it like it was hot. I watched the video. It's a good video. But she got into this argument because the conservative woman said that she felt that what she was doing was demeaning women and hurting the Me Too movement. It was a video. Women have been twerking for years. You can find it all over the internet. You can find it in YouTube. Young women and some young men do the same thing. I don't think it undermined the movement, but it struck me as odd, her response. Her response was, my video was showing that a woman can dress any way that she wants to. A woman has always been able to dress any way that she wants to. I don't think the video spoke to that. The video catered to her fans, women with big butts. She was on a reality TV show, and they described her character, Mercedes, it was being Mary Jane, as a big weave, big boobed, big booty chick. And I want to hear what she has to say. Now, granted, I think she may have something like 2 million Twitter followers. But that doesn't mean that I want to hear anything that she has to say. And what really struck me as odd was the Twitter that was put out by the Polk County Democrats. And here's what they said. As the center of the Iowa caucuses, we have been honored to host at Team Pelosi, at Cecile Richards, at Kamala Harris, at Senator Gillibrand, at Pramila Jayapal, at Grace for New York, and many powerful women leaders. It only makes sense to invite at I Am Cardi B to reception of her choice while she's here in May. I'm sorry, I have a problem with that. Cardi B is suddenly likened to a powerful woman leader? In what universe? In what dimension is she a powerful female leader of what? Twerkers? Strippers? Female rappers? What? I can't even begin to put her in the same vein or the same company of these women that have been listed. Nancy Pelosi has a long history of doing things in public service, of seeing to this country. What has Cardi B done? She's written rap songs, mostly glorifying sex acts. She talks about the fact that she was a member of the Bloods. What? And all of a sudden, she's a powerful leader. And my point is this. To what depths will we sink in order to secure anybody's vote? By any means necessary, to paraphrase Malcolm X, we will appeal to anyone, to anyone. We just lose all sense of dignity, all sense of integrity. Cardi B? And it just so happened that is the song that Kamala Harris was dancing to, was to Cardi B, as if she's trying to make some sort of connection with the public at large, well, particularly with the Black African American base, and perhaps to some extent to those who really enjoy that sort of music, to appeal to them, that younger set. I get that. I understand that. But there has to be a way of reaching that section of our base, of those Americans, those young Americans, without sinking to that level. And that's the only way that I can put it. It just is. We have to elevate, not lower. That's what we have to do. And Kamala Harris seems to have no compunction about engaging in that sort of behavior. She's lining herself, and I think I may be getting this wrong, so please forgive me, Cortez out of New York, OAC or OA or whatever they call her, because she's become a Democratic sensation. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't want to have a politician in office who talks about, yeah, my spare time I get high. I just don't. I don't think that's the image of a president that we want. We already have what I consider to be a buffoon in office already. I'm not a Trump fan. I've made no secret about that either. None whatsoever. So my whole point being is if Kamala Harris wants to be taken seriously as a candidate, then she really has to talk about the issues that are relevant to the American people. Stop focusing so much time on your quote unquote being black enough or not being black enough. Focus on what the issues are. It's no different than when Hillary Clinton was running for office and she made some comment about the fact that she walks around with hot sauce in her purse. Oh, come on. Who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? It's like when Mitt Romney's wife, whose name escapes me, was doing an interview. I almost want to say it might have been with Oprah Winfrey, one of the talk show hosts. And she actually made the comment that said that she buys clothes. It was either at Walmart or Costco. Come on. Who do you think you're kidding? Do you really think that anybody believes with the amount of money that the Romneys had, that she's going to go out and personally shop herself at Walmart or Costco for clothes for her kids? Get out of here with that. Get out of here. That's insulting. It's absolutely insulting. And I look at the Democratic field, and it's like everybody is just throwing their hat into the ring. Everybody. Right now, you've got 10 serious, actually, you have 9 serious candidates that are out there. You have Amy from, I think it's Minnesota, I think it is, that has just recently joined the joined the ranks, thrown her hat into the ring. It's like, I understand we want to get Trump out of office. I understand that. But when you have so many candidates running, and a lot of them are overlapping. You have Kamala Harris, who I think is a socialist. We already have Bernie Sanders, who we already know is a socialist. You have these candidates that want to try to appeal to this new progressive arm of the Democratic Party, which I liken to that Tea Party that surged in the Republican Party. I look at the damage that they did to the Republican Party. And I see the same thing happening here. It is my firm belief that as a nation, we are more centrist. We are more centrist. We're not ultra liberal. We're not ultra conservative. I believe the vast of American citizens are centrist. I remember when George Bush was running for office, I think in his first term, he coined the phrase, and it was compassionate conservatism. And I don't have a problem with that because, like I said, I'm a conservative Democrat. But you have got to stop engaging in politics where you're talking about just giving away the country. You know, free this for everybody. Free this for everybody. America just isn't built that way. It's like an old school phrase. An honest day's pay for an honest day's work. You just make your way in this world by the sweat of your brow, by your intellect, by your creativity. You shouldn't look for somebody to give you a free pass. And I'm very fearful that is where we are headed. If you get someone who has socialist leanings in office, you're looking at overtaxation. The government cannot solve all of our ills. They cannot. That is the one thing that I agree with Republicans about, is just that. There has to be personal accountability. And on that note, we're going to take a quick musical interlude. And then when I come back, Valentine's Day dinner. So get ready. Get ready.
You're listening to The Voice of Reason with Ted Durden, brought to you by Turchin Law, 818-230-3110. If you need any assistance with employment, labor, or workers' compensation law, call Turchin Law, 818-230-3110. And if you like The Voice of Reason, please subscribe and tell a friend. Now we go back to The Voice of Reason with host Ted Durden.
You know, everybody knows I'm a foodie, and this is one of my favorite parts of my program. Absolutely. And I had a bit of a struggle because, again, it's Valentine's Day dinner, a lot of recipes I thought about, but I go back to the old standard as far as a beautiful presentation for a Valentine's Day dinner. And so I went with seafood. So if you're allergic to it, sorry, but this is the go-to. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with an appetizer. Now for the appetizer, I'm coming up with smoked salmon with prawns, horseradish cream, and lime vinaigrette. Now this is the appetizer. And again, the dinner I'm talking about is only for two people. So you're going to have to send your kids over to Aunt Sally's or Aunt Sue's or Uncle Buck's or a neighbor's house or whoever. Pawn off on somebody. So it's just you and your girl, you and your wife, you and your girlfriend, you and your significant other, whoever that may be. So the prep time for this should only take about 20 minutes. Now, for the ingredients, you're going to need a tablespoon of creme fraiche. Now, if you don't know what it is, you can look it up. I talked about it on one of our earlier shows, but because there's a lot to this recipe this evening, well, not the recipe, but the dinner, I'm not going to go into detail too much, especially about things I've already covered. So 1 tablespoon of creme fraiche. Then you're going to need 1 teaspoon of horseradish sauce. You want to get 4 slices of smoked salmon, 10 large cooked prawns, peeled, but you want to have the tails left on. Now, you can pick those up in any fish market where they're already cooked. Again, you're trying to save yourself some time. Now, for the salad, you're going to need the juice from 1 lime, finely grated zest, about maybe half of the lime peel, a teaspoon of clear honey, half a teaspoon of finely grated fresh root ginger. Rumor has it that's an aphrodisiac, by the way, but that's another subject for another time. And 2 tablespoons of light olive oil and 2 handfuls of a small leaf salad. Now, I would recommend something like arugula or radicchio, a sort of a spring salad specifically. Not something big and heavy like iceberg lettuce. You don't want that. Nor even romaine lettuce. It has to be small salad, small lettuces, spring lettuces specifically. So here's what you want to do. You want to take the creme fraiche. You want to mix it with the horseradish. Add a little salt and pepper. For the dressing, what you want to do is take the lime juice, whisk it with the zest and the honey, the ginger, and the seasoning. Now, once you blend those items together, you then want to whisk in the olive oil. Take the smoked salmon and the prawns, and just because the smoked salmon is already cooked, the prawns are already cooked. So what you want to do is take those, separate those onto 2 plates. Then you want to top that with a dollop, maybe a tablespoon, of the horseradish cream that you just blended together. Then you want to toss the salad and most of the dressing, not all of it. And again, you only want to do the dressing part when you're ready to serve. So you want to toss the salad and most of the dressing and pile it on top. Then take the rest of the dressing and drizzle it around the plate. Again, presentation. Now, what I recommend, and I'm going to say this off top from the very beginning, whenever you're having seafood, and especially when you're doing shrimp, because the main course I'm going to tell you about is going to be lobster, you always want to drink champagne. Champagne pairs perfectly with shrimp and lobster because it has a natural sweetness to it. My go-to, always. I'm not a Dom Perignon fan because I just don't like it. It's a little bitter to me. You go with Veuve Clicquot. It's yellow label. Make sure it's properly refrigerated. It is absolutely outstanding because you're going to be drinking that during the majority of the course of this meal. I would recommend that you have at least 2 bottles. You may only need a bottle and a half because you're going to start drinking that champagne with the appetizer. So that's what you start with. And just to let you know what we're going to end with, as far as desserts are concerned, again, it's an old standby. You can do strawberries with the champagne. You may want to do chocolate-covered strawberries. There are some people who they think the sweetness of the chocolate is too overpowering for the champagne. Personally, I don't. I think it pairs perfectly with it, especially as a dessert. So that's what we're doing as far as the appetizer is concerned. Now, for the main course, we're going to have lobster. And you're going to end up setting that lobster at the end of this on a bed of pasta. So let's go over the ingredients. You're going to need 1 onion, preferably red, because red has a little more sweetness to it. You want to get 1½ cloves of garlic, a quarter bunch of parsley, 4 whole vine-ripe tomatoes. I prefer Romas, again, flavor. A quarter cup extra virgin olive oil, 1 fresh lobster tail, 2 shots of cognac, a half a cup of posip wine, a pinch of crushed red pepper, teaspoon of salt, pinch of black pepper, and ½ pound of pasta. Now, some people use fettuccine. I think fettuccine is too heavy of a pasta because, again, you want to keep the fare kind of light. You want to get too weighed down, too heavy a meal. I would recommend an angel hair pasta, something that's really light. So what you're going to do, you're going to take and heat the olive oil in a large skillet. Now, for this particular recipe, you need to have a skillet that has high sides on it. You don't want to do it in a shallow skillet. Make sure it's on medium-high until it's hot. Add the onions, garlic, and parsley, and you want to saute them until they're tender and they're fragrant, where it just fills the kitchen. Now, this should only take about 3 to 4 minutes, and you'll know because the onions will become slightly translucent. After you do that, you want to add the whole tomatoes. Don't slice them up. Add the tomatoes whole. Now, here's another key when it comes to the lobster. You're not going to put the whole lobster in the pan. You're going to take the lobster tail and you're going to cut it horizontally like they're medallions. Now, once you do this, you're going to take it and add it to the skillet, add the wine, and add 2 glasses of water. Let that cook for about a minute. Then you add the 2 shots of the cognac. Stir in the red pepper flakes, salt and pepper, add a little additional salt and pepper to taste, and then you want to bring it to a boil. Make sure it's covered. Now, at that point, you want to add the pasta. And again, I recommend angel hair pasta. Lower the heat, very slow simmer. Crack that lid just a little bit, just to let some air in. Make sure that the pasta is fully submerged in the water, because otherwise you know it's going to be brittle. You want to cook it slowly till it's al dente, where it's firm but not too limp. So once that's done, then you're going to take that and serve it. You're going to take the cooked lobster and serve it over a bed of pasta, and there you go. That's your meal. You're going to start with the salmon and the prawns, with the horseradish cream and the vinaigrette. You're going to finish with lobster medallions over pasta. And again, excellent meal, pairing that with the Veuve Clicquot with the champagne, that, my listening audience, is a romantic Valentine dinner to die for. And of course, you have to have the other accoutrements, have some nice music on in the background, maybe have the fireplace lit for atmosphere, for ambiance, and have some scented lit candles, setting the atmosphere just right. And then we know what comes next. Good eating. And again, strawberries. That concludes our show for this evening. It has been my absolute pleasure sharing this evening with you. Be sure to tune in for the next episode of The Voice of Reason. I normally do this show every 2 weeks. We have a special guest coming on next week, in 2 weeks, so it'll more than likely be in 3 weeks, but be sure to tune in. And remember, ignorance only prevails when rational minds sit back and do nothing. I am Ted Durden, and I have been your host for The Voice of Reason. Good night.
You've been listening to The Voice of Reason, hosted by Mr. Ted Durden. The Voice of Reason is produced and directed by Appel & Associates and is part of the WorkCompMatters.org podcast channel. All opinions expressed on The Voice of Reason are the sole opinions of Mr. Ted Durden and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of his advertisers or the Work Comp Matters channel. For The Voice of Reason, my name is Steve Appel.